it's Jamie from Home Ec Express, and in this video we're going to talk about the world's best ingredient, chocolate, glorious chocolate. Now July 7th was World Chocolate Day, and if you look at the food calendar for the year, there are different holidays, National Chocolate Day, Dark Chocolate Day, and all kinds throughout the year. But at least where I come from and at Home Ec Express, we believe that every day is chocolate day and that we all benefit from it. Now, before we get into explanation about chocolate itself, we want to talk a little bit about the nutritional benefits of chocolate. And of course, I do want to note that if we overindulge in too much chocolate, especially cheap chocolate, you negate all of those health benefits. So a good quality piece of chocolate a day is excellent for keeping the doctor away. So chocolate itself is rich in fiber, iron, copper, and manganese. But dark chocolate is high in organic compounds that are biologically active and function as antioxidants. These include polyphenols and flavonols. Also, dark chocolate is rich in magnesium, zinc, and iron, all of which are important nutrient cofactors in brain health and the production of serotonin and dopamine, which are very, very important for our mental health. One study has also shown that cocoa and dark chocolate have more antioxidant activity, the polyphenols and the flavonols, than any other fruit tested, including blueberries and acai berries. We know that chocolate will help blood flow and lower our blood pressure, so that's very important. And it also helps significantly decrease the bad cholesterol in men because we have good cholesterol and we have bad cholesterol. Dark chocolate can reduce insulin resistance. It helps reduce heart disease risk. And so my favorite fact about chocolate, particularly dark chocolate, is that it is high in a naturally occurring substance that is in our bodies as well in nature called phenylethylamine. And we actually need this to have proper functioning and regulation of our mood. I call it the happy hormone. Phenylethylamine is also called the love drug as it stimulates the production of endorphins. And as we know, endorphins make us happy. And I will not go there, Elizabeth. Watch Legally Blonde, you'll understand. And so they are the feel-good hormones in our brain. You can never have too many happy hormones, right? And so these are just some of the reasons why we love chocolate so much. But there's all kinds of different chocolates out there. And of course, one of the questions that I get asked quite a bit is cocoa and cacao the same thing? The answer is yes and no. So what I have here is cocoa powder and cacao powder. And you can tell there are two different colors. Okay, now cocoa and cacao come from the same plant. They come from the cacao tree. Cacao is a Spanish word and we often just say cocoa. What happens when they harvest is they take the cacao pods. For cacao powder, it is the most healthy version. It has all kinds of benefits for our cardiovascular system, our immune system, our gut health. It is minimally processed powder. And so what happens is they take the cacao pod, they get the beans, and they ferment them. And then of course they're ground down. You get a chocolate liqueur out of the beans. And of course that makes a paste, which is then turned into chocolate. Okay, so the chocolate liqueur is very important because that is the distinction between chocolate and white chocolate. White chocolate is not chocolate at all. It just has a similar texture, but they call it that because it has cocoa butter, which is the fat that comes from the cacao plant. So cacao powder is as minimally processed and close to nature as you can have. It is somewhat of a bitter flavor, a little bit more strong than cocoa powder. Cocoa powder is more processed, and in that, in those steps, it loses more of its nutritional benefit. And it's not only been fermented, but then it's been roasted. So it's actually lost a lot of nutrition by having it cooked. And then of course it's ground down. You have the chocolate liqueur, the cocoa butter, and then of course we go on to make chocolate. So if you have a bar of chocolate that is labeled cacao, see the difference in the spelling, that is actually going to be far healthier for you with some health benefits to it versus something that is cocoa, okay? So if you are really needing to up your nutrition, but you do still want like a little sweet treat, lean towards cacao. And also you can add cacao powder into smoothies and different recipes to get the health benefits. So when you have the different cocos, chocolates, cacaos out there, and we are not sponsored by any of the brands that you see here on the counter, but if you would like a sponsorship, let me know. The percentage tells us how much of that powder is in there in proportion to the sugars, because the less cocoa, the less cacao in that bar of chocolate, the less cacao means the more sugar, the more dairy in order to make it sweeter. And when you get up into these higher percentages of the cacao or the cocoa, that is going to be a more intense, dark, almost bitter. And some people actually prefer that with less sugar in it. And then of course we go into our chocolate chips that we all love. There's milk chocolate, ew. Semi-sweet, yay. And then of course my favorite, which is dark, which is a higher percentage. Of course,
so good. I don't know.
You like milk chocolate is just weak. I gotta have my dark chocolate. So it's such a debate. So in the comments though, people can totally put if they're milk chocolate, semi-sweet, or dark chocolate people. You know, dark chocolate a day keeps the doctor away, sis. So chocolate chips though, you do have that variation, and they even make some intense ones out there as well. So out of the oodles and oodles of recipes that we could do with chocolate, we're gonna do a family favorite, and I am going to teach you my chocolate pudding recipe. It's super easy. You will never get boxed or pre-made pudding ever again. Once you have it fresh, it's always the best. So we're gonna just switch around, go over to the stove, and you are going to learn my secret chocolate pudding recipe. Okay, so we're over here at the stove, and before we get going on our chocolate pudding, one quick confession. The recipe that I've used for almost at least a decade that my family loves is actually from Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman. So it is a wonderful recipe, and I will copy it from her book in the comments section below. So now all we're gonna do is we got our little Dutch oven pan here and a great whisk, and we are going to first combine 1.5 cups of sugar and a 1/4 cup of cornstarch in our saucepan. The cornstarch acting as the thickening agent. And because I don't want lumps, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of whisk it a little bit in the pan to break it all up and blend the sugar and the cornstarch together. And then we have 3 cups of whole milk here and 4 large egg yolks. We're going to combine the egg yolks and the milk together, and I whisk this together so it makes a wonderful, easy solution. You want to make sure you break those egg yolks up. And so basically this starts off as like a simple custard, if you're familiar with making a custard, with the exception that there's cornstarch in here. Okay, it looks like we got it. And so we're going to just pour this into the saucepan that already has our sugar and cornstarch. We're gonna turn our burner on medium. We do not want to scorch this, especially since we have a dairy product in here. And it will take about 6-7 minutes, but we're gonna continually stir it and it will thicken and it will start to come together very beautifully. And if you were to dip a spoon in there, it will coat the back of the spoon, not be really drippy. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with the finished result. Okay friends, so our solution has changed into this gorgeous thick pudding-like custard, and as you can see, it's staying on the whisk, and that tells you that it's done. So how do we turn this into chocolate pudding? Oh my God, it's so easy, you guys. 6.5 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, not milk chocolate, and we're gonna just pour this in here and just stir it in beautifully, just like that. We're also going to add 2 tablespoons of salted butter, and there is actually salt that I forgot to show you guys earlier, so I just did a few grinds of salt for my salt grinder in here as well. You always want to make sure you have some salt so that it balances out all of the sweet in your recipe. And last but not least, we are going to add in here about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I only use real vanilla. I don't like the imitation stuff, so get the good things in there. And what's great about this recipe, friends, is that the base with the sugar, cornstarch, milk, and eggs can really be transformed to all kinds of different flavors of pudding. You guys could do butterscotch by subbing out some brown sugar. You can do basic vanilla bean, pistachio, and at the holidays I've been known to do peppermint mocha and eggnog. So we have now blended in our chocolate, butter, and vanilla into the custard, and we are going to take this over to the counter and turn it into chocolate pie. Okay guys, so we're back at the counter, and I have a pre-baked pie crust. Now normally I would do my traditional pie crust recipe, which is another video here on our YouTube channel, but this time we got a special request for a cookie crust. So I took 20 of the chocolate cream-filled cookies that America loves, and I pulverized it and added 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and I pressed it into my stone baking pan or pie pan, and baked it in the oven for 12 minutes at 400 degrees, and I've let it set and cool. So it's very important that you let it set and cool. So that makes it very easy to do. And we're just gonna pour this delicious, rich chocolate pudding filling into our pie pan. There's like a little bit left in the pan. Miss Elizabeth, what do you think? We need like a little snack in a moment. We don't ever want that to go to waste. So what we're gonna do is stick this in the refrigerator, and before we can top it with whipped cream and chocolate cream-filled cookies that America loves, this needs to be completely cool or else it'll melt the whipped cream, and then it's ready to serve and enjoy. So I hope that you've learned a lot about chocolate, cocoa, and cacao, and make sure that you share this with your friends, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us move up in the algorithm so that we can reach more people with our useful life skills videos. And go to our website, home@express.com, subscribe to our emails, find even more resources to make your life more self-sufficient and joyful. And again, you can follow us on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. Till next time, you guys, have a good piece of chocolate.